Hello, Baru here. Always trying to have a good time with creative art stuff, some silly banter, and who knows what else. Join me today for some drawings inspired by each day's Wordle. October 8th gave me the word joint, and my initial thought was to focus on an elbow or something, but then I thought, well, I could use joint like sort of a seedy place. How do you indicate a seedy joint? Well, I'm not really sure, but maybe like this a bit. But importantly, Rabbit and Toad are good buddies and are also joined at the hip joint. So, trying to work in both of those. And I know there's a third, and I decided not really for me. So I do love the expression on Toad's face, just kind of staring off into the distance. For this next one, I needed to draw a contrast between a child and its mommy. So tiny little rabbit being watched over by mom. This was supposed to look protective, but it almost looks menacing, and this is in no way indicative of my childhood, so don't try to read anything into this. I do kind of like the idea here, and the landscape was an interesting thing to work on for me. The next 5-letter word was carve, and so many possibilities here. Maybe a Thanksgiving turkey, or a wooden sculpture, or what about a surfing move? I had wanted to use another silly, cute animal, but I just couldn't get the right feel, for the leaning and for that hand drag. So I used the next best thing, perhaps, the Roboto Surf 3000, hanging 1010. That's 10 in the binary counting system. And also a very sad computer science joke. Sorry about that. I like this one. Gusty. This turned out better than I had hoped, even though it's a pretty simple drawing. But I think the feeling of a gusty wind is captured here with the leaves and the hat and the lean of the cat. Check out those flying whiskers. And of course, the mighty, mighty snail. I love how this guy turned out. And actually, he was just an afterthought, which thankfully I had after my before thought. And speaking of before and after, this drawing will be reprised in another video. So we have foreshadowing. My high school English teacher would be so proud. Thank you so much for taking a moment to speak with me, Mr. Snail, I presume?
Yeah, you can just call me Philipe. And believe me, this wind ain't no friend of mine.
Oh, no? Why not?
Well, this darn cat here, he hired me to watch over his hat. And I thought, why, that's gonna be easy money. Where's the hat gonna go, right? Turns out he's walking me right into a haboob.
Did you say haboob? What?
Now, I thought you upright folks were supposed to be smart. Haboob, sandstorm, dust devil, black blizzard. Yes, sir. So here I thought I was going to be able to ride along on a hat for a while, and now I get blown off, and I gotta go chase a hat. And I ain't made for chasing. You see, I lost my legs, and, well, I guess I never had legs, but you see what I mean. One of these days, I'm going to give that fuzzy old Philipe a talking to. Fancy cat taking advantage of a lowly guy like me. Man, it ain't right. It ain't right, I tell you. Oh, don't you fret your precious little toe beams, you cat. Let the mollusk go get your hat, you old sourpuss.
I got the feeling he's got a lot to say. I think we'll just leave him alone for a little while. We'll catch up with him later. I thought the best way to point out stain was to show permanent marks where they shouldn't be. At least that was my feeling. So I drew a fairly nice portrait in colored pencils, and I stained it. I thought coffee would be good, but I wasn't sure if it would show up enough, so I opted for some stamping ink, which worked out nicely with some different colors, and I think it got the idea across. And for our dose of cuteness, prune. No, wait. Prone. Oh, like what was I supposed to do with a word like prone? I decided to go the route of describing a prone body position because I just couldn't get anything usable out of susceptible. And one thing I noticed too late was that instead of a rock or whatever, that could have been a turtle. But darn it all, I didn't think of it. So, you get an otter and a frog, cute and adorable, and very, very prone. I think that I had an okay idea for gamut. I was thinking of like a color wheel and tying that all to emotions and drawing it all out. And I started, as you see, but never really got excited about it. So, meh. Kind of falling into the blue-violet part of this particular spectrum. Yeah. Moving right along. This one might need a little bit of explanation. The word was corer. And of course, I thought maybe an apple corer or something similar. But as things go, sometimes a thought just pumped into my head, and that scene from Shakespeare's The Merchant of Venice came to mind, where the pound of flesh nearest the heart was demanded. And that, I thought, was very much like coring a person. And that very much changes the tone of the word. Is this a good idea? No, I don't think so, but I had it anyway, and it was interesting enough I didn't ignore it. I do kind of like the image. It is unsettling, I think, and which is supposed to be. So, corer. And I'll follow up this kind of icky one with one that I do like, the word being grant. And pretty quickly my mind went to a musician that I love and miss, named Grant McLennan, one of the founding members of the Go-Betweens, one of Australia's finest indie bands, I think. Their song Cattle and Cane was selected by the APRA as one of the 30 best and most significant Australian songs of the previous 75 years. Now, I could go on and on about his songwriting and beautiful voice, but instead, here's a charcoal drawing, hopefully capturing his likeness. In my last video, I said, remember this drawing, because it'll be reprised. So this is from last week, the Art Hang Party Prompt Jellyfish, my peanut butter and jellyfish sandwich. And when I got the Wordle prompt for have, I probably have a demented mind, but I just thought it was kind of funny. That's all. And maybe I laugh alone, and maybe I laugh with friends. I just don't know. Anyway, I just love that he's still pretty happy, and even though he has a little severed leg or tentacle, it's a tentacle. Yeah. Well, the Wordle answer for October 18th was stint. And that was a tough one to figure out for a drawing until I learned of a cute little wading bird called a stint. And it is so adorable. So fluffy. I want to pet it. We're coming up to the end of October, but I've still got a whole lot of drawings to show y'all. I'll gather some up for next week, and by that time, this channel will have been in operation for a full year. I'll likely share some anniversary thoughts soon, and I'd love for you to join me for that in the upcoming weeks. If you'd be so kind so as to like this video and subscribe, maybe, that would make me very happy. And it would also help me keep this clunky old channel going. I appreciate you watching, and a big old virtual hug to those touching comments you always leave me. I really, really appreciate it. It means a lot, and I'm not just saying that. It's true. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
And you know what else? I've been all over this land. I seen things. I smelled things, and that mangy old cat stinks. I don't know if it's the pork and beans or what, but let me tell you, sometimes I'm thankful for that wind. Give me a whiff of that fresh, hot sand and dirt. Oh, whatever that is on that cat, you understand? Of course you do. You've been places too, I bet. Yes, sir.